for an incredible night. Oh, we're taking it up a notch.
I need to stop selling magic, because that isn't going to get me the gigs. And realising that, I think, was a bit of a turning point.
Sam Fitton, probably one of the best event magicians.
If you want to be in this for the long game, and you want to make a sustainable business that is going to grow, and have a reputation that's going to grow, then you need to have something else. You need to have a better plan in place. Always be in a room where there are people better than you. You can learn, you can develop, you can grow. It's someone's wedding day, for God's sake. They're not going to do it again. So make it fucking great.
Hey, be sure you stick around because we're only getting warmed up.
Oh, I don't want a magician, the shit.
How are you doing, guys? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Think Wedding Business Podcast with me, Howard Wing, and this boy,
Adam Wing.
Yeah, it's kind of just, we just do that as a regular thing.
I forgot you were teaming in.
Today's another cool day. This guy who we've got on today will absolutely blow your mind. If you ever get the opportunity to see him live, you are count yourself as being very lucky, because he literally wows you. We have Sam Fitton, probably one of the best event magicians.
Wow.
That I've ever seen. You always leave me in absolute awe.
Oh, thanks, man.
But the reason why you're here as well is because you're not only an amazing magician, but you've been a great wedding entrepreneur, great wedding businessman. You've done TED Talks. You've done Edinburgh Fringe. Am I getting all this right?
Yeah,
Sam?
you are. Yeah.
Yeah. You've done Clacton-on-Seas at Social Club. You've pretty much done it all, haven't you?
Without further ado, Sam Fitton, magician.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Was I just giving a bit? Building him up too much?
That was a big build-up. I enjoyed that though. I mean, great for the ego. Wonderful.
Well, you're obviously a magician and you're an event magician, but you do a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
But more than that, you're a really savvy business guy, as alluded to with all the things that you've done.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a wizard in all areas.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you on. Thanks for coming. How's wedding season going for you?
Crazy this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone else found that? It's mad. I mean, obviously, I think compared to the fallout from COVID, 2021, back end of 2021, 2022 was absolutely insane. There is no other word for it. I can't even remember those years anymore, to be completely honest.
Last year was a blur, wasn't it? Really?
Everyone said the same.
Wow, it's just that that was full on. This year is busy. This is what I would consider to be a busy year in pre-COVID terms. So I'm happy with that. I think it's a good number of weddings.
Feel like you've gone back to where you want to be.
Exactly. Perfect. Because don't get me wrong, last year was amazing. Financially, thank you very much. But stressful, busy, and it's
it was
nice.
kind of putting it all back, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah.
It was all gone because of that. Now we're putting it all back, getting back to normal.
Well, you've got your eggs in several baskets, which we'll probably touch on as well.
Yeah.
So that then puts a strain on it as well, doesn't it?
So it's been really nice actually this year to consider my business as being busy, but at the same time actually having time for each one of those weddings and the couples as well, which is what I like. I like to have time between, weddings. Yeah.
I've seen magicians, I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head, I'm not going to name names, but who've come and gone over the last 10, 15 years, who seem to be really busy and good, and then they've just disappeared. They're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
One of them is now a painter and decorator.
Yeah.
But you always have that consistency, and you're always at the forefront. When anybody thinks magician, certainly in my circles up north, your name's there. It's in the mix.
Okay.
There's only maybe
awesome.
1 or 2 others that I can think of.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's always you. So we want to touch on that. Why is that? And what moves are you making?
Infamous. Yeah, that's probably better.
What moves are you making to keep that consistency? Well, should we take it back a little bit? Why it all started? Yeah, come on then. Why weddings? How did it all start? Take us back, man. Right, I remember meeting you on a wedding fair probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Over in somewhere.
It was
and I don't think you were doing weddings then, were you? You were doing circus acts or something.
Well, yeah. So it depends. The origin story of magic is the weird one, and whenever I say it, people are like, "What?" So I'm gonna have to mention it because it's just so weird. But unlike most kids who get a magic set and then obviously the hobby starts from there, it actually, for me, what happened was. As a kid, I needed an operation on my eyes, and essentially, my parents basically bribed me to go through with it. They took me to this toy shop in Manchester called Daisy and Tom's, and there was this guy from the Magic Circle doing this coin trick. And I was quite a savvy kid, I did well at school, and I could not figure this thing out. And God, that annoyed me. I could not figure it out. And so that's what I wanted. That's this thing that I wanted. So my parents were like, absolutely fine. Now, what my parents hadn't told me that this surgery would require my eyes being removed and would be about a 6 week to 2 month healing process. So
Without sight, basically.
Pardon?
So you couldn't see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I woke up from the surgery having my eyes pried open by a nurse to check that I could see, in inverted commas. And
Just
then,
got to pause you.
and then-
You had your eyes removed,
yeah.
taken out of your face.
Yeah.
I didn't want to divert because I didn't want to interrupt him. But
Yeah, I had my eyes removed. So you can't fully disconnect them from the brain, but yeah, I had them removed.
They're dangling on your chin like
They actually have them on
But
little
I thought that
silver
was-
trays that rest here.
I thought that was some sort of metaphor. They actually took them out of your eye sockets.
I told you it was good, didn't I? I told you this is like, you think Wolverine's got a good origin story. Mine's bonkers. So so basically, I'm here because of trauma as a child. So basically, I basically wanted to know how this trick was done. I couldn't see. 4 weeks, your eyes locked shut because obviously, we've all got something in our eye before, right? Your eye goes, oh, yeah, ooh, that stings. Oh, and you find it hard to open your eye. Imagine having them out. So so my eyes locked shut for 4 weeks. Couldn't see for 4 weeks. But in that brief glimpse that I got when the nurses pried my eyes open, about once I was conscious after surgery, the first thing and only thing I saw was my dad at the foot of my bed playing with that new magic trick, having worked out how it worked, and then my eyes locked shut and I had to wait 4 weeks before I could do it.
Oh, man.
And I think having to wait that 4 weeks was just, it was semi-torturous, but it catapulted me onto this trajectory of wanting to learn magic and learn all these incredible things.
I wonder if that helped your eyes heal as well.
Yeah, who knows? Oh, we could get into the biology
I
of it.
want to see how that's done. I want to see what. And
Well, what's weird is then I went to university to study biology. So I got a degree in biology, left that, and then it was actually after university that I graduated into the recession, 2007, 2008. There wasn't many jobs kicking around. What do you do? So logically, it made sense to join the police. So I spent 2 years as a police officer, and then went, this is rubbish. I want to have fun with my life. I don't want to be dealing with people I don't want to be dealing with. And so I thought, well, magic's always been there. It's always helped me out and bought me drinks at uni and got me girls occasionally. Not that I was a stud at school with ginger hair, glasses, and a wonderful appetite for the sciences. I was a stud. I was like Dexter's Laboratory, but 6 foot tall. But I just kind of turned to it. A young Sheldon. Yes, I was kind of not far off, except ginger and heavily bullied. So I just thought, well, magic's always been there. It's always been good fun. David Blaine had come onto the scene, obviously, during the thousands, and catapulted magic.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, it became cooler. Dynamo wasn't even around when I started Young Wing.
Sorry, forget you're old.
He was
Paul Daniels. It was Paul Daniels.
I'm 35.
And Debbie McGee. That's the magic I remember as a kid.
So weddings kind of happened by accident. I was always doing like birthday parties, corporate events, and then one day I got a phone call. Hey, we've got this thing going on at this social club thing. Yeah, okay, sure. It was just down the road from where I lived at the time in Lancaster. Thought, sure, I'll do that, no problem. Yeah, I'll pay you cash. Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll do cash. Yeah, great. Don't do that anymore. It's a nightmare. Anyway, turned up, and there's this woman in a white dress. I thought, shit, what do you do at weddings? What do you do? I thought, well, I can only do what I do. I don't know anything else. So I just did what I do, and it was amazing. I had this audience that wanted to be entertained, that needed to be entertained, that enjoyed it, that I could see the purpose it fulfilled, and all of a sudden I thought, hang on a minute, there's something in this, a wedding magician. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't the first person to ever make that connection. They've existed for ages in this country, and actually we're quite unique in the UK. There aren't many wedding magicians in many other countries. The UK is huge, but in the States, it's almost unheard of.
Honestly?
Yeah, it's a market that honestly, whoever cracks it, if there's anyone in the US watching this, you crack the US wedding magic market, you are going to be a millionaire. Because
never seen one abroad, no.
No, right?
Not that I've done.
In the UK, it's a big thing, and it really works. And I think I stumbled onto a good idea at the right time, and met good people, and so it just kind of exploded.
What made you
there.
approach that wedding? Turn up, see her in a wedding dress, and go, this is a wedding. What made you think that should be anything different to what you normally do?
It's the pressure, isn't it? When you're at a corporate event as a magician, you're sort of anonymous. Like, you're just there as a kind of byproduct of the need for entertainment. Yeah. Oh, we need to book people. We'll book this guy. We'll book this guy. And you turn up. Now, don't get me wrong. As the years have evolved, that is definitely
they've got a budget for it.
Yeah,
let's fill it. Let's just hire some.
And don't get me wrong.
Like
in the last 15, 20 years that I've been doing this, that attitude has definitely changed in the corporate industry. But back then, certainly, I was the person being booked to just fill that gap. Whereas at a wedding, you really have a purpose. And I think I worked that out quicker than maybe some people do. And I went, hang on a minute, I know now. I know how to sell this now. And ultimately, what really threw me about turning up and seeing a woman in a white dress was because I've never seen a woman in a white dress before that wasn't a family member. Yeah. And the pressure that came with that of going, oh my God, this is actually someone's wedding. This is only going to happen once. I will never be able to redeem myself if I mess this up. Fuck.
For
lack of a better term.
So it's one day in their lives. You've got
one,
go wrong.
You've got one shot and you blow it, you're done. That's it. It's game over. Yeah, absolutely. You only get one shot. Didn't miss your chance.
And it's funny, you forget that
fade that in.
Most people
Thank you.
don't go to weddings.
No.
Very often in their lives. So like before I got into weddings, I think I'd attended 3 maybe at all. So it's an alien world, isn't it?
Yeah. Totally.
I think that's why we were a big advocate when you're first starting out, is to go out and do free gigs. You kind of remove that kind of pressure straight away. You're still pressure, but it's just relieved a little bit, isn't there?
Well, you don't feel the same kind of pressure in the sense of like, if I mess this up, like, they've paid me money and I'm going to have to give it back. And
exactly. All of a sudden, when your mortgage is on the line for that pressure, it's not just delivering a good wedding film. It's not just doing great magic tricks or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
All of a sudden, when it's, hang on a minute, if there's a problem here, I can't pay the gas bill this month. A different type of pressure kicks in.
I'm just thinking of a word that you said in one of your sentences a while ago, because you talk very fast. I'm trying to remember which one.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. This brings energy. You said, wait a minute, I've got something, I can sell it.
Yeah.
So then what made you think, right, I'm going to go full-time into weddings? And how did you sell what you do? What were you doing at the start? Is it any different to what you do now? We can talk about both scenarios, but when you thought, I can sell this, what did you do from that moment?
Well, I think that epiphany definitely came a few months down the line. Don't get me wrong, after the first wedding I thought that was really good, the audience really loved it, and I realised that no one goes to a wedding to have a bad time. Everyone's going with this attitude of, this is going to be amazing. That's the only reason why people go to a wedding. They know they're going to have a good time. So that is the perfect...
expect it to be a happy day.
Exactly. This is going to be the perfect audience for what I do. Although they don't know I'm going to be there. So it's kind of a bit of like entertainment terrorism. It's just going to be forced on them. They've got no choice. I'm just going to turn up, and they're not there to see me. They're there to have this amazing time with this couple. And a few months down the line, maybe even a year, that's when the penny dropped of, I need to stop selling magic, because that isn't going to get me the gigs. Key point. It will get me weddings. It will get me bookings. But it not for longevity. Like the short term, absolutely, sell magic tricks, sell videos, sell singing. That will get you gigs, but it will not give you longevity. And realising that, I think, was a bit of a turning point. And so, to kind of answer your question, what I realised I needed to sell was the experience. It was the impact. It was what the end result is of my services. That's the whole adage of sell the sizzle, not the steak, right?
Yeah.
There are thousands of people out there doing magic tricks at weddings, but how many of those people actually understand and value and put value on the effect that they're having at that wedding and the need that they're solving and the problem that they're solving? I would argue not many. And it's the same in anything that exists in the wedding industry.
It's all about the service.
And it's maybe me going back to you saying, I know a few musicians that have come and gone.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, I'm selling my magic tricks, when you're not. You're selling the effect, aren't you? You're selling the experience.
Well, I think a lot of people as well see the wedding industry as a very easy cash in. Oh yeah, great! I bought a Sony camera now. Wow, autofocus is on the pupils. Wow, $3,500. I can turn up at any wedding, take a photo that's going to be pretty much perfectly in focus. They can turn up, they can charge $1,000, they can leave. And they can just dabble. They can dance in and out of that industry as many times as they want. But it's not a formula for success or longevity. That's a formula for making quick cash every so often. But if you want to be in this for the long game and you want to make a sustainable business that is going to grow and have a reputation that's going to grow, and therefore obviously be able to pay your mortgage for hopefully the 35 years of the term rather than the next 2 or 3 months, then you need to have something else. You need to have a better plan in place.
Yeah, for sure. It's really good advice. The same thing, isn't it, with photographers? Why does somebody pay that person £2,000 more than that? The pictures are similar-ish. It's the experience, it's the person, it's the personal branding as well.
Something that I've always been given advice from videographers of you need to find what makes you unique. You need to differentiate yourself. Right? You need to you need to do something that stands out. But the emphasis was always you need to make your videos stand out. Yeah. And I early on I got a lot of bad, quote unquote, bad advice of you need to make your videos stand out. Everyone's doing these type of videos. What can you make your videos do that's different? Yeah. Because that's what's going to get you noticed. And then I realised at some point, without Howard I might not have, but it's not about the videos, it's about me and how I approach the day. And so I shifted everything onto, me. Like my Instagram, it was selfies with couples, it was me having a laugh on the day. Yeah. And then they see that and they go, we want that.
Yeah, people by people.
Yeah. I mean, your work is incredible.
Well, it's got to be good. Yeah. Of course.
You're never going to be...
I'm not the best.
No. Do you know what?
The best, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Good is good enough, but obviously your good is excellent.
Where the product's concerned, good is good enough. Where you are concerned, and
So what do we need to do then to make you stand out in other ways? Yeah. As the person.
Do you know what? It's funny you should say this because I'm one of those douches now that goes, well, in my book. But
I forgot to mention you wrote the book. I've got it in my office.
I know we've got a big thank you. I know we've got like that big build up you did, and you said, "Oh, best magician and all this." And I actually don't think I am the best magician that performs at weddings. I have seen some people that, and wonderful for my ego, but do I think I'm a great wedding entertainer? Absolutely. Am I a great wedding magician? Well, I think there's definitely better wedding magicians out there than me. But are they better at entertaining your couples? Are they better at entertaining your guests, looking after your guests? Are they as attentive? Do they understand the wedding industry as well? Do they understand the flow of a wedding? Do they understand the dynamics between the turnover, the change around, what needs to happen during dinner service? Do they understand all that? Maybe not. So, and I think that's what
separates. They might be good at tricks, but they don't know the whole of everything.
I would attest to that. You're probably the most entertaining magician I've seen because I've seen you working on a day and I've seen how it's received and I've seen the imprint that you leave on the guests.
Mate, and that is the best compliment I can ever get. When someone turns to me and says, great trick, I think I've failed. Yeah. Anyone can do a great trick. Anyone can sing a good song. Anyone can make a good wedding film. But can anyone leave that lasting impression of, wow, that was a great show? That was and to paraphrase you, in fact, not to paraphrase you, the title of your book, is this the best wedding they've ever been to? Yeah. That's what I want to leave with. I want to leave with them going, that was the best wedding I've ever been to.
I had a guy come to me in one of the last weddings and he said, look, come up to him and you've got a really good vibe.
Brilliant. Oh,
and I was like,
mate, I love that.
I've not even sang a note.
Yeah, amazing.
So it's all those other things sometimes that really make the difference. Because not just the song I'm singing or the trick you're doing or the film that Adam's producing.
Do you know what? I say this to couples on the phone all the time or on Zoom meetings. I always say, as an absolute bare minimum, your videographer, your photographer, your singer, your magician, doesn't matter who they are on your wedding day, should be able to deliver an excellent product, base core product. I should be able to do great magic. You should be able to sing great songs and do it well. You should be able to make a great wedding film. But what else? What else about that person makes them the one you're going to book? And it's never about the product at that point because the product is there. It's good. It's solid. What else? And I always say, phone up your suppliers, chat to your suppliers, meet them if you can, because you'll get a feeling from them.
And for anyone listening that's not willing to do that, I do everything via email. I don't do Zooms.
Idiots. Sorry.
You're going to lose out to the other guy who's willing to do it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. That is do you know what? Just doing stuff by email is easy.
It's great
simple.
if you can.
Bang out an email. Oh, go and spend the day on the beach. But you could be missing out on potentially great clients and a wonderful relationship that's going to last years. I've had return, I'm sure the same is for you too. You've probably had people get in touch about christenings, about other events that you can perform at, about, it's my 50th coming
sister's
up, or
wedding,
it's my sister's wedding.
Yeah.
Well, if you just got an email and you hadn't built that rapport, then you're probably not going to get that.
Well, I stay in touch with a lot.
Again, it's about longevity.
Stay in touch on socials.
Yep.
we've
done families, haven't we? You've got. I've been through families where
and
the
then
daughter's getting married now. Yeah. You've got to come and do it.
Well, Howard's got to be there because he's like part of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that all the time. Oh, we feel like when I leave a wedding,
you're the family magician.
You know what? Honestly, when I leave a wedding these days, and someone like it literally happened on Saturday night. The brother of the bride came up to me, put his arm around me, like, "You're one of us now."
yeah.
And I thought. Great. That is it. I know I have done the best job.
Did you want to be one of him?
Yeah. They were wicked, and if you could PayPal me some extra funds, that would be amazing because everything else.
I like he turns the camera and everything.
Yeah.
He's expecting you to edit that. That's why he's doing it.
It's the media training. What can I say?
I'll probably use the angle of the back of his head for this one.
the crown at
the missing bald spot from years of working in the wedding industry and the stretch.
What else do you do marketing wise? How do you get? Obviously, you've got your ethos, you've got your how you sell it. How do you get the eyeballs and?
Right, I don't think there is a magic formula. No pun intended. I don't think there is a silver bullet. I don't think there is like this perfect way of running a wedding business or the perfect marketing strategy. There are different ways of doing things. There are different ways of running your business, but you have to play to your strengths and weaknesses as an individual, on your personality. I know I'm a bit weird. I know I talk fast. I know I'm quick on responses and I can have a laugh with people. I've always been quick-witted, so I use that. I use that to my advantage. But I also know that sometimes I can talk too much. So I have to check myself. I have to go, right, Sam, shut up now. Yeah, shut up, just shut up. No, it's not working. Damn it, you're still talking. But I know that's a character flaw with me, so I know I have to think about it when I'm at weddings so I don't overspeak on the mic like a knob. That's stuff that I'm aware of, and you have to be aware of that. You have to be honest with yourself and go, well, what are my character traits? What are the good things? What are the things that aren't so great? And how can I use those to my advantage? But when it comes to the marketing side directly, I think I met people like you, actually. I remember Leighton Hall, it was, that wedding fair. It was in a marquee at the back of the venue. And I remember at the time I was working with the circus guys. I don't know if you'll edit that back in, but I was working with some circus guys. I was the magician in a circus-based business. So we stilt walkers, fire breathers, magicians. And I'd reached a bit of a ceiling limit with this business where I was like, I need to go solo here. I felt like I was not being held back, but my thoughts and ideas weren't really being represented by the company as a whole. And those ideas were pushing it. I was like, no, we need to push. Don't settle. And ultimately that wedding fair was a trigger point for me because I met you. And I thought, that guy's got it. He gets it. He understands that you have to be more than the product. And I remember you had these fold-out brochures, which had a CD in it at the time, so you could listen to you in the car on the way home. And I remember them. I've probably still got it at home. That's how sad I am.
I've got a Howard Wing CD. Everyone's got a Howard Wing CD.
Yeah, it was a trifold leaflet, and I thought, God, this is good. It sells him really well. It's got a CD holder in it. He's thought it through. He understands this thing. Not to blow smoke up your ass, but it was smart, and your personality on the day. And I thought, I'm with these guys that are just pulling on the reins. And I thought, I need to go. So after that point, I kind of left that business and just said, look, guys, I've got other ideas that I want to explore. And I went and did it solo. And I thought, right, what's he doing that's making it work? And kind of I looked at people like you. There was, at the time, I'd been done a lot of work with Phil White, an amazing videographer, and I looked at what he was doing as a brand and what his films looked like and his couples and these high-end weddings and not just high-end weddings, just exceptional content, exceptional wedding suppliers who I had the pleasure of meeting. And I thought, what are they doing? And then I just kind of went, well, they seem to have this thing. They've got this aura. They've got this this gravitas. I was like, where does that come from? You can't buy that. You can't go online and get it from Panama's or Jessop's. You can't just buy this off the shelf.
It's energy and drive, isn't it? And knowing the why and why you want to do it.
And
I think the takeaway there is definitely look for people who are crushing it or killing it or where you'd want to be in their position. What are they doing to get there and sort of emulating?
And those people will change, right? I know you had someone that you saw and went, actually, I want to be like that guy. And then one day you realise, shit, I'm that guy. I've overtaken them. So who's the guy I'm now looking up to? Who's my? Because I find it's really important to always be someone. It doesn't matter if they're in the wedding industry or not, but there's to always have someone you can look at and go, they're crushing it, they're nailing it. How are they doing it? Like, how can I get there? Never be the best person in the room. I like to think never be the person there that knows more than anyone else. Always be in a room where there are people better than you.
Yeah,
I think
you can learn. Can't you?
You can learn, you can develop, you can grow, and all of a sudden that's when you really start growing. I think as a person, as well as then obviously that is instantly then reflected on your business.
Your surroundings, isn't it? The people that you're hanging out with.
Absolutely.
What did Tony Robbins say? Hang out with dogs, you get fleas. So.
Wow, that's a scathing way of putting it. But yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
that was a Tony Robbins quote.
It's a good one though. Actually, yeah, that hits home.
Nothing wrong with emulating either. People worry about getting. I don't want to be a copy. There's nothing wrong with.
Well, do you know what?
Emulating? Like, what else are you going to do at the start? If you're trying to be the best and learn from the best, of course you're emulating.
Yeah, and
until you find, a subtle little way of actually
differentiating.
Yeah,
until you get
I'll do what he does and what he does, and then I'll add. Now I've learnt a bit. I've got my own ideas, and I can take it on, and it becomes your own thing.
Do you know what? Years ago, it sounds like a proper brag this, but I don't mean it like that. Please don't edit that bit out. But I got a deal with Warner Brothers to write TV shows. So I spent 2 years working in a development team.
Clang.
Working on TV show formats. And the way that you pitch a TV show to any channel is by going X meets X. You take an existing idea and you crossbreed it with another idea and you go bang, that's the idea. Because it's easy then to sell a concept. So if I turned around to you and went, Scrap Heap Challenge meets DIY SOS, and you go, right, so we've now got to scavenge for things to make something awesome for this family's home. Yeah? You understand the concept. And it's the same, I think, in the wedding industry. You go, right, I'm going to be Howard Wing meets Sam Fitton. Right, okay, so I'm going to be a magic singer. Okay, not the greatest analogy. But I do actually know someone who's a DJ that does magic.
I can't tell how many times I've been asked if I'm the magician, but carry on. I'm singing, what are you on about?
And the number of times...
This comes before the singing, when I'm talking.
Yeah, it's funny.
Are you going to do as a trick? No, I'm just talking to you. Carry on.
And you'd be amazed how many times when I then grab a mic when I'm doing hosting,
he's going to
sing.
No, I'm not.
No. Fly me to fuck that. So it's funny. But that's the way it's done in TV land. So if they're doing it up here, they're Warner Brothers, that's how they do it. Like, why can't we do it? Why are we ashamed
that to me
to
is
do
taking two proven concepts that we know work and we're making something here. Pretty much, you've got a better chance to sell it because them two work.
And it's relatable to an audience.
Yeah.
So if you can turn around to someone and say, well, I'm like that, but I also do this. Oh, right. It's easy for the customer to understand.
You can get your brain around that, can't you?
Exactly. Whereas if you try and describe a brand new concept to someone, it's very, very difficult to sell a concept. For example, if I'm doing magic at a wedding, great. I say, I'm like a magician, but miles funnier. And that normally makes people laugh. And I go, no, I can be quite funny. It just depends, really. It depends on your guests. It depends if they're idiots or not.
Yeah.
And then they laugh on the phone. I'm only joking. There'll only be a couple of them. There's always some in there. If you've got them laughing on the phone and having fun, and just, I know that I'm selling that idea that I am funnier than probably someone else you've spoken to. Oh, you've not spoken to anyone else on the phone? Oh, why not? Why have you not spoken to them on the phone? Oh, well, they just replied in an email. Oh. But they
don't even have to mention that. He's just gone straight into it.
But then they're going in. But hang on a minute, they're an entertainer. They speak to people for a living, but they're not picking up the phone to you. Little seeded out there, But it then makes people go, oh, actually, that's a really good point. You lay the pieces, let the audience connect the dots.
Yeah.
Let your customer connect the dots, because then it's an established idea that they came up with.
It's inception, isn't it? You're just planting a little seed of
exactly.
Make them think that they've created the idea or they've come up with the concept.
Which is miles stronger than me going, hey, so I'm better than this guy because ultimately then it just comes over as arrogant and abrasive and that's not what you want to portray. Instead, you want to let the customer come to that conclusion through the way that you speak, the way that you handle them, the experience they get from the moment they inquire, even how they land on your website. Everything needs to be, it needs to conform to that brand that you're trying to build. which is why.
And again, ringing somebody speaking on the phone is one other way that you're going to differentiate yourself from you in the competition. Always
easy. Yeah.
No matter what industry it's in, so many will just go reply and that's it. Forget it. And I always meet my couples. I don't know if you still do that now, but that's as a first protocol for me.
Yeah.
I always meet them.
Yeah, weirdly, I think people are spending more and more time on their phones but less time speaking.
That's
which is
what I
slightly
like,
ironic.
the human connection.
Yeah, it's slightly ironic.
I like the phone call. I've been trying to tell our students from the start.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised when people don't want to do it or still don't do it.
Yeah.
Strong advice on our course is ring people.
Yeah. I always phone them, and they go, hello? It's like, oh my God, hello? The phone rings. Hello?
I didn't expect you to call me.
Yeah. And I go, hey, I can literally go into my, obviously, because you've said it 10,000 times, it's like a script, isn't it? You know it in your head. So I go, it's Sam Fitton here, the magician. Just thought I'd give you a quick call. Sorry, I know it's not every day you get a call for magician. Pretty random. But I thought I'd chat to you about, are you okay for 2 minutes to have a quick chat? Okay, great, perfect. Anyway, tell me about your wedding. Let them speak.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation. We see where it goes from there.
I'm the same. You just the opening line is, how's the plans going? Talk about your wedding, and then you just listen.
Yeah,
you could use that script.
Don't need
that exact script. You actually could.
To be fair, just swap out the word magician to any other supplier, and immediately you've got a script. It's Adam here, the videographer.
Yeah.
I know it's not every day you get a call off a videographer, and they're going, no, actually, it's not. Because of course it's not. They never planned a wedding before, the chances are, let alone spoken to a videographer on the phone. So no, it's going to apply to pretty much anyone. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. I think this is really good extra advice. We're finding a lot. We are repeating stuff, and repetition is great because the repetition, that's where you get the skill from.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of, you go to the wedding venues, you meet the great suppliers, create a good network around yourself, and knock on the doors of venues, introduce yourself, do gigs for free at the start, build up your network. But this is different advice, and I think it's good. It is good. Is there anything else you think that perhaps you do differently than other people that would be beneficial for our listeners as far as the marketing side?
Well, I'll add to that. What's your superpower, your uniqueness that you do different to everyone else?
You do magic, don't you?
Magic is the superpower.
Wow, so awkward.
Yeah, but we know that it's not. That's not you.
Unbelievable. No, I get what you're saying. So marketing-wise, I think you have to, and it's definitely getting harder. This, because when we started out, and I'm going back to now like 2012 maybe. I know 2009 was the first wedding I did, but probably 2012 was when I really went right. That was when I met you, I think, 2012.
I think I was in the industry for a good few years. Not probably 5 years before that.
Yeah, so I've got a pretty mad memory, so it was definitely Leighton Hall we met. But anyway, it was. Don't be freaked out if I remember weird things. But essentially, back then, Instagram was one post. Yeah, Facebook was one post. That was it. And people say to me now, why aren't you on TikTok? And I'm like, why? Because Instagram is now 6 times bigger than it used to be.
Instagram wasn't around when we went to Leighton Hall.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't, Facebook. It was all Facebook.
Just Facebook.
It was all Facebook.
Yeah.
And then Instagram, maybe 2014, maybe Instagram came onto the scene. Oh, you're not on Instagram? You could post. Then now Instagram is Instagram Live, Instagram Posts, Instagram Story, Instagram Reels. So now we're already, as a job, it's 4 times bigger than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Now we add on TikTok. Now we add on, Facebook, which granted isn't probably the greatest place in the world as it used to be, because all of these others have taken over. Then we add in all these other social media networks that are now
YouTube,
LinkedIn,
Shorts,
Threads, Shorts, YouTube, X/Twitter. What are you doing, Elon? Get your act together. Everything's got to have an X in it. Weird.
Back in my day, the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, I used to have a little advert.
That's what people did, didn't they?
Yeah, and so the job of social media has become a lot harder. But back then, it was about jumping on those trends and being first to really do something different with it. So I started making these little films at weddings. I would take little snippets, B-roll, and years of going to weddings and seeing photographers work. I'd see them crouch down and get arty shots through some trees looking at something, or close-up shots of Prosecco being poured.
Yeah.
Thought, okay, I get some...
Guilty.
Get some... Yeah, sorry. You get some B-roll, basically.
Oh, those shots.
You get some B-roll. And so I thought, well, I'll take... Next week on how to be a wedding videographer. Yes. So I'd started taking like these B-roll shots, selfies with guests, and I just used to say to, groups of, bridesmaids or guests, to say, oh, there's a little surprise I'm doing for the couple. Can we have a selfie? And it'll go into this little video that I send to them the following day. And it was just this nice little touch. And it really worked in those early stages of Instagram when that was really different and novel and interesting. And it was a nice little thing to give the couple. It didn't really take that much work. It probably took maybe an hour of work after a wedding. But very quickly now, what's weird now is I'm now seeing other magicians now doing that. And I'm like, wow, I was doing this 10 years ago. And I actually had to stop doing it. Now you're probably thinking, what? You had to stop it? I started getting inquiries to make wedding films. So I got an inquiry through my website because I was posting loads of videos on my Instagram of wedding films. Granted, they weren't high quality, Adam Wing films or Phil White films or the Lawsons, or they weren't these high-end productions. Yeah. But there was a market for it. So I got an inquiry off, I can't remember her name now, maybe Lindsay, I think, from memory. But so sad. I'm so sad. I can remember weird stuff. And she was like, oh, I want to book you to do a film at my wedding. And I was like, yeah, she's just copied and pasted it into the wrong website while she's been going through her wedding suppliers. So I replied, not Lindsay, I don't do wedding films. And she went, yeah, you do? Well, I don't. She went, yeah, your Instagram, you've got loads of them. And I was like, shit.
Oh, she's right.
I do have loads of wedding films. And then I had to explain, no, you booked me as a magician. And then I just do this as a byproduct. It's just a 60-second short thing that I make just for fun. Oh, I don't want a magician, they're shit. And I was like, right, well, I can't just come and make a film. Our survey said. And so I kind of thought, well, my brand is off. I'm doing something wrong. It's not her fault that she's come to that conclusion. It's mine. And then I got another inquiry, and I thought, here we go. And I thought, look, I can make a film, but it's 650 quid. I turn up, I'm there just for the drinks reception, and you get a 60-second film at the end of it. You're all right, thanks, mate. Yeah. And I thought, right, I said, right, and this needs to go. So that's when I stopped doing it. How weird is that?
Because I've been doing those GoPro on a stick for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever inquired.
Well, I remember. It's clearly bad quality. So it's because they're all fish-eyed. I remember when we met at the Tickled Trout once, and Abby and Paul Madden, Mitten Hall back in 2016, their wedding. And we met at the Tickled Trout, and we had like a joint meeting with them. Do you remember? It was very weird but funny at the same time because we were like a double act. And they left like.
Shit.
Like, what is going to happen on our wedding day? And I remember it quite vividly, that wedding. Actually, it was a real good one. And actually, do you know what? Much to the point, I remember when I left that wedding, Paul went, "If we knew how good you and Howard were going to be, we'd have paid double."
Yeah, I've heard that in the past.
And I went, really?
Yeah, having experienced it.
And that was when I put my prices up by a significant amount. So it's just amazing how all this links and comes around and comes to everything that you do has an impact, whether that's positive or negative, and nothing has neutral value in what you do in your marketing. Nothing has neutral value.
To be clear on what you were saying, because I remember back when you used to do these little phone videos, so you were making little videos for the couple, and they were going up next day, just snippets from the day that you're just putting together on your phone. But what you were doing, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, was making reels.
Yeah,
but before reels. Whereas now everyone's doing it. It's interesting that you've consciously gone, oh no, but that's diluting like my brand, so I need to actually get rid of it because now everyone's doing it. Everyone,
exactly.
And makeup artists do this, content creators, everyone's trying to make these little videos.
There's a fantastic, honestly, there's a fantastic business book that I absolutely swear by. You have to have balls to do this. And the book is called Zip Zap. You've probably never heard of it. It's probably flown under the radar. It was written about 20 years ago, if not longer. It was a New York Times bestseller back in the day. I was like a kid when this book came out. But the whole book is about when people are zipping, zap. Do the opposite. Just do the opposite. If people start wearing... So as soon as magicians started wearing three-piece suits at weddings, and you might mention suits later, as soon as they started all wearing matching three-piece suits and a monochromatic tie or a single colour tie, I got rid of it. I made the bold move to go, no, fuck it. Right, I'm going to have an
did you read that book Did that make you change? Because you were always on brand, weren't you? So
Yeah.
did you?
My website was always black, and it had a like this highlight in bright teal. Bright teal it was.
That's the colour.
It was like electric teal.
Yeah.
And at the time, it became. I got pure by fluke that following year for the geeks out there. I love Pantones. You're learning a lot of dark shit about me today. But I love Pantones. Like, do you know what I mean? Pantones. So Pantones are colour charts used by the graphic design industry. So it basically means that
Sam's got tons of them.
Yeah, so when you're designing something on Photoshop, you see something in what's called RGB colour, which is made of red, green and blue light, because that's how your eyes process colour.
Yep.
Whereas in the print industry, you use CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow and black, which is K. Which is a completely different process for making colour. So what Pantones do is they take a colour that's printed in front of you and they convert that into RGB values or hex codes that you can put into a computer. So it won't look like the right colour on your screen, but when it's printed it will come out as the right colour. So that's what a Pantone is. Now Pantone are a huge industry because ultimately the world of design, both from clothing to websites to, it doesn't matter, they use Pantones all the time for colours and inspiration, for trends, trend setting, trend forecasting. And it just so happened when I started using this teal colour, about a year and a half later, the teal colour I was using was the Pantone colour of the year, which is a big deal because it means these huge brands like Armani, Boss, start using that colour because it's going to be on trend.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I became on trend completely by accident.
So you just got lucky.
I got lucky. Because it was just a colour that I liked. I saw it. In fact, I remember buying that suit and that tie from Greenwood's Menswear, which I don't even think exists anymore. Yeah, and I just got lucky because I used to wear completely black in this tie.
We're sorry to Greenwood's if you do still.
I'm sorry to Greenwood's. I'm so sorry, but good suit. Still got it. Wear it at funerals.
So that's an example of the Zap, where everyone's wearing the same sort of colour scheme. You've gone opposite.
I went, I'll just do something completely wrong, and I wore it everywhere to the point where I would turn up at network events and people would go, "Oh, you got any different clothes, Sam? Or do you just always wear this?"
Yeah.
And people used to take the mick. But that was an idea that I got from Steve Jobs, who always would go on stage wearing his chinos and a black polo and his glasses. And he wore it every day. And actually, if you read anything from Steve Jobs, obviously sadly passed away now, but the guy was an absolute loon. And I could probably relate on that regard. But he was an absolute genius in a sense that he would have Monday to Friday clothes that were all identical. They were different, but they were identical.
Was it Einstein that it was the theory of just having the same wardrobe takes away the indecision of what to wear, and it's just efficiency, isn't it?
Exactly.
But it's on brand.
Exactly. And so it's the same now. It's a different suit. It's a different costume. Sorry, that's what I call it, a costume. It's weird because it is a costume because you're an act, right?
Because you're a superhero.
Because I'm a superhero. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely talk for hours about that logic. But yeah. So, but when other magicians started catching on and started wearing 3-piece suits and stuff, I changed and I started wearing like no tie.
Yeah.
I literally got rid of the tie. So now I still don't wear a tie. And sometimes people say to me, "When did you forget your tie?" I just go, "Yeah, whatever, pal." But I actually have a spare tie in my back pocket. Then I go, no, it's right here. And then I just pull it from behind the rear. But it's that idea about if 1 in 1,000 people say that, I've got a miracle. Because now they've asked for the magic. It's always more impressive if the audience connect the dots. If the audience bring the idea and make the connection, it's always more powerful in both sales and magic. Magic is just sales with playing cards. That's all it is. It's sales with playing cards. Yeah. If you think selling like wedding films and photographs is difficult, try selling something that doesn't exist. So, do you know what I mean? So I was like that. But I thought, no tie. I wore an off-colour waistcoat, off-colour jacket, off-colour trousers, completely mad. But it started working. And then all of a sudden, what happened? I don't know if you won't know what I'm about to say next, I imagine, because you weren't wearing a black suit and a teal tie. Primark decided to do a rebrand, and Primark's colour scheme was black with teal, and they are still to this date using that colour scheme. And I had ditched that 2 years before, and I thought, thank fuck, or else otherwise I am now aligned with Primark.
You're the Primark guy.
Yeah. And I thought, and then
that colour,
what was really funny was all of the magicians that had seen either me or got the idea from somewhere else to wear that colour scheme were now all Primark related because they were wearing stuff that was related and bigger brands.
There's a good lesson in there about emulating like big top end high street brands, the big boys, like just if I wear like Primark, I can picture the colour of blue that Primark have in all the shops. So by wearing that colour,
You're
associated with Primark.
Of course you are. They spend millions of pounds a year on that brand.
So you want to be looking at the top brands and going, what colours, what fonts, what logo.
Absolutely, and that's what I do on my website. So website's about to get relaunched. It's not been changed in 3 or 4 years. 3 or 4 years ago, it was different. I used to get people saying, "Wow, your website's so different. It's really cool. We really love it." I've not stopped getting those comments. And it's because everyone else has caught up. So now I'm ready to evolve again. Something new, something more on trend. Or what will be in trend in a year's time. Because the trick is, don't do what's on trend now. Do what's going to be on trend in a year. Now the trick is, well, how do you know what's going to be on trend in a year's time? Well, you've just got to roll the dice sometimes, and you've just got to hedge your bets and go, well, actually,
just try it.
Try it. What's the worst that's going to happen?
It's a brave choice to do, though. When everyone's going left, you turn right.
Exactly.
I'm interested in that book.
Zip Zap. Yeah, it's called Zip Zap.
Who's it by?
Oh man, I should know. I've read it that many times, but I'm always reading it. Go back to it. If I'm feeling a bit stagnant in my business, or I might think, website needs updating, bang, open this book, turn to a random page, read something, and go, wow, someone else has already had this problem.
It's a good thing to do. Re-go over the stuff that you know inspired you.
Yeah, there's another book.
Whenever you just get a bit stale.
Yeah, the other book I'd recommend for anyone is, and I make it sound like I read loads, I don't. I'm terrible at reading. I hate storybooks.
Oh, I read every day.
I am awful at it. I'm terrible at it. But I love factual books. I can happily sit there and read a dictionary. Such a loser. But I can't read Harry Potter or anything like that. I can't escape into that world.
It's all non-fiction stuff.
Yeah. I'm magic. Why do I need to read it? I get enough jokes about Harry Potter.
Harry Potter can't make his shoes disappear.
But yeah, absolutely, loser. And he wears glasses. I had laser. But I can read factual books. So another book is called Now Try Something Weirder. Oh, love it. There's stuff in there. It's all about big brands and how they just went, do you know what? Fuck it. Let's do something mad. And honestly, it's brilliant. It gives you so many great
real world examples.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, loads of real world examples. So when I started, obviously with the solo stuff, different business, not wedding related, really. I went, well, who sells high end tech? Apple. They've been the best at it for years, right? So Apple have spent billions of dollars investing in market research, design, artwork. Colour schemes, font choices, negative space, layouts, you name it. They have spent the most, arguably. They're the biggest and wealthiest public limited company on earth. They have got the budget for these insane R&D teams, that go and do all this hard work. Use it. Yeah, go onto these people's websites, make notes about how they're designed, what font choices, right click, examine source code, see what font it is. Yeah, I've done it. What font weight? Right, how is it spaced? Yeah, I've done all that.
The title of me, Adam Wing Films, on my website is I've researched Gucci and Dolce & Gabbana fonts and just did the same font because it was that association of looks.
I mean, look at Apple. So Apple have their own font, right? Apple have commissioned their own font, which I did look classy, into. Weirdly, turns out really expensive. Wow, what an industry that is! Typography. Again, I'm big into my fonts. So I'm a bit of a loser.
Yeah, but you can Google
person that walks down the street going Arial. Comic Sans, avant-garde new,
like a Wingdings myself.
A bit of Wingdings. You never know what you're gonna get, do you? New Rebel. That's a zap when no one can actually read it. Hieroglyphics.
My entire website's in Wingdings.
You'll have to go to 4000 BC and then someone might book you. Excellent.
Is there a font called Wingdings?
Yeah, but it's just nonsense. It's similar.
I just thought it was like a.
No, it's real.
But you can Google Apple style font and download a similar one.
Go on to typography.com. Is a huge New York firm.
It's definitely pulling back to that match and mirror and do what's already
and make it consistent.
But using all their experience and knowledge to then pull it back into your business.
We're individuals. We do not have the marketing budgets to do a huge amount of market research. We don't. We don't have
but
that
it's there online, isn't it?
But it's already there. Yeah. It's accessible now. You just have to kind of peek behind the curtain a bit and go a little bit step further. Rather than reading blogs on how to design your website, go onto great websites and look behind the curtain and view the source code. Have a look how they're building it. I know not everyone's got those skills. I'm a loser. I learned to program websites when I was like 10. But those skills are so useful in the modern day.
Well, for anyone that wants to, it's you can Google like inspect. Is it?
It's called the inspector tool. Yeah,
source element. I can't remember how it is. I know how to do it. I can't remember the words.
If you use on Google Chrome, right click, inspect source, or
and it brings up all the source code behind the website, and you can learn all the
absolutely
where the images come from, the fonts, all of it.
Absolutely.
Because I do that because I have a programming background.
Yeah.
But I know not most people will have no idea what you're on about.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an
This is what gives you an edge,
It's an easy way of utilising millions of pounds of research which I haven't paid for. I don't know if this will make the cut, but when you're a magician and you sell your services as a magician, because I've tried to get away from that word, because the problem with that word is Paul Daniels, top hat and tails, rabbits, magic wands.
Yeah,
it's a difficult stigma to not be associated with. Yeah. And I tried for years calling myself a wedding entertainer, a magical entertainer. Derren Brown tried it with psychological illusionist.
Yeah.
He's just a magician, but he's a psychological. That sounds different. I know videographers have done it. Wedding cinematographer. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, Spielberg with a nice pair of shoes on that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's
I hate all that stuff.
Yeah, do you know? And it's really hard. And as a magician, and I just realised I can't. Of course I can't move away from it. Because as soon as I try to describe myself as anything other than a magician, people go, right, so you're a magician then? I go, yeah, I'm a magician. Yeah. And because I haven't got the millions of pounds worth of marketing budget to basically convey and educate an entire population on that I am more than a magician. And so I started using the tagline, more than just a magician. Yeah. And then I thought, that's a great tagline, that, more than just a magician. Brilliant, that. Brilliant. Well done, Sam. Pat on the back. Yeah,
he'll do your dishes as well.
I'll do right, exactly right. And it was because I felt like I delivered more than just magic tricks at weddings. And then one day I went into Costa, and I went, "I'll have just a flat white, please." And the barista went, "Just a flat white?" And I went, "Yeah, well, a flat white." And he went, "This isn't just a flat white. I'm about to make you the best flat white you've ever had." And I went, "Fuck me. I'm not just a magician. I am the magician." And immediately got rid of the word "just" off my website. Got rid of it.
Just
got rid of it.
It's got a negative connotation.
I got rid of exactly. Just what it does is it downplays
big up the
thing that you are. I was literally downgrading myself, and then I realised on my website I could add an extra touch to your special day. Extra? I'm not extra. No one budgets for fucking extras. Get rid of the word extra. Additional, for an additional thing, or add that extra thing, or add an extra bit of sparkle to your special day. I thought, fuck, I've done it twice in one sentence. Add, extra, got rid of those words, bookings increased. Because all of a sudden, rather than being a thing that you could have, I was something that you needed to have. I wasn't an extra.
Yeah.
I wasn't additional.
You're not additional. You're a necessity. You're.
It sounds so simple.
Yeah,
and then
brilliant.
I even had, that went into the book along with the barista thing, I think.
The barista needs a shout out. He's changed your life.
I don't know who you are, but yeah, honestly, I don't think...
Cost of wisdom.
Yeah, I don't even... And that's the thing, right? You never know where you're going to get these little nuggets of information from. Yeah. And I don't know who the guy was. I've probably never met him again. But he completely changed my business. In one sentence, he changed my business.
Brilliant.
And it's insane. And I'm a big believer of semantics. The way that you speak in emails, the way that you speak to people, the language that you use completely changes the way people will feel about you. And even more important than the words that you're using is the tone in which you use those words. I could get really geeky now if you want to get into it. There's something called the 55-38-7 rule. Have you heard of this? No? Okay, so it's a guy called Al Morabian came up with it in like the late 70s, published it. And it's been misconstrued over the years to basically become 9/10 of communication is body language, which is absolute nonsense. It's not. It doesn't work like that. 55% of your communication between two human beings is body language. In other words, the way that we use our bodies, the hand actions, our foot positions, our facial expressions, all of that, even the way you smell and your pheromones. Yeah, body language. 7% is the words that you're speaking with. So the actual words in your language. 38% is the tone in your voice when you deliver those words. So 5-6 times more important than the words you're using is the tone in your voice. And when you kind of go, what is that a thing?
It's a huge part of it.
You could call somebody in a bed in a really nice way.
And I do it at weddings all the time.
Yeah. And this is why people ask me with regards to wedding speeches.
Yeah.
Oh, can I not swear? You can swear as long as you have the right tonality.
Yeah, and how many times have I
deliver it correctly?
He's got the censor guy here. He's going to be on fire during this. The number of times I've sworn, but I've said it in a way that is jovial and fun, and so it's not aggressive or curt. It's.
I tell you what gets a bigger reaction from my audience if I'm just walking around and I say the word shit.
Yeah.
But the way that I deliver it, everybody they laugh instantly. And sometimes I won't even finish the tea. I'll go shit, and everyone goes, "Oh!" It's like. But if I was to go shit,
and do you know what's really funny? When I did my magic circle exam about 6-7 years ago,
he's done a magic circle exam.
Yeah, you have to do an exam to get in, a performance exam. I did the routine I always do at weddings.
Pirouettes.
Yeah, I do the routine that I always do at weddings. Spoiler alerts: I've been doing the same 7-minute act to every group of people at every wedding for the last 10 years. Yeah, I've not changed anything really. Modified a few jokes, added a few bits in there and that.
Sounds just like my act. Although it goes a bit longer than 7 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, 7 minutes for me is a record.
7 minutes, one group of people. 7 minutes.
It's longer than I can perform.
Yeah. But I've not changed it, and the reason being is it carries on working. But and it gives people a mutual talking point, right? If you see Sam Fitton at one group of people, and then I go to another group of people and do the same act, those groups of people now have something mutual to talk about.
Yeah.
If I did something different,
did you see his thing? Did you see with the what's it? With he put that level on my hand? Did you see that?
Yeah. And then they go, yeah, oh my god, that was so funny. Whereas if you do something different, they go, no, I didn't see that. Oh, did you see the one with the coin? No, it's like going to 2 different films and then meeting up with your mate afterwards to chat about them.
Yeah.
You can't. Whereas if you both sat in the cinema together, you'll be talking about that film for years to come. We were doing it just before we went live, talking about films. We hadn't seen it in the conversation. It's a brick wall,
doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you've not seen it? Oh, right. Okay. Well, never mind.
Conversation stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Same sort of logic. And like I say, I've been doing that same for
we're talking about the tonality, and we
the way you use words. We will get back to this.
The way that you use words and
in the magic circle exam. Thank you for bringing me back on track. Thank you. I did that act, and I say the word shit in the act because it has to be there for comedic value and for misdirectional purposes. Yeah, to convince an audience of something that isn't really happening that is. So I get a trick wrong, in inverted commas. For all intents and purposes for the audience, I've laid these foundations to make the audience believe so that they connect the dots to think this has gone wrong. So that when I put the 2 cards on their hand and they're wrong, and I go, was yours the 6 of diamonds? And they go, yours, shit. And it's said in a way that is tonally means to them, they genuinely think I've got it wrong. Which is only going to heighten the effect when it then comes good.
Is this the one where it's in your mouth?
No, don't do that anymore.
I like that one.
Yeah. It's the one where the cards change places in their hands, right? But I did that at the Magic Circle, and they marked me down because I swore during my act. And I went, right there, you're dealing with people that are basing what I do purely on technical skill and not on theatrical script writing. Because that's a script that's been written, it's been timed, it's been rehearsed, it's been done 10,000 times. I know how to deliver that and how to get the impact out at the end of it. It's not just done on a whim for a laugh because I've got bad language. It's done intentionally. It's been thought through. And it's just really funny how,
That's interesting.
But now when you translate that to sales, that's why a phone call is so important. Because someone can feel the tone. They understand who you are as a person.
Email.
An email... We're only dealing with 7% of language now. We're only dealing with words. Unless you're an unbelievable writer, and I mean like New York Times bestseller, so that you can convey tone in a way in text that only a great author can, then you're only dealing with 7% of language because of communication.
Yeah, body language, tone out the window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're only dealing with 7%.
Something I've struggled with, and you'll laugh at this because my tones. I'm very monotonous, and I'm aware that I've always had a complex about sounding monotonous. I read a story to a kid, and I'm like, and then the Gruffalo did this, and it's like, and I've learned. I've got kids now, and I animate myself, and I've had to learn to be better on the phone. You know this. I used to pick up the phone, and go, and the people at
the worst,
the people at the other end of the phone would go, Adam, are you okay? And I go,
someone just died.
Yeah. You're right.
That I'd ask you.
I'm very happy right now.
Yeah.
Are you alright? Are you alright, mate?
I was awful.
Yes, I'm fine.
And people, with my tone, people genuinely thought, "Oh my God, something awful's happened to him."
Honestly, it's so important.
And in my head, I was like, "I don't understand what's going on. I'm perfectly content today. Why are these people always asking me if I'm okay?" And it was my tone. And so I've had to learn with business and being at a wedding. Like,
so important.
Even now, I still sometimes have to just check myself various points in the day and go, "Come on, pep yourself up a bit," because I know that I can slip into a monotonous.
And do you know what's really funny is when you're an entertainer, and I'm sure you get this, when you have a switch, it's a mental switch in your head, because if you were the way you are at weddings all the time, you'd be dead in your mid-40s, you'd have a heart attack, you wouldn't be able to cope with the amount of just like we thrive on pressure and stress as entertainers, right? Like that amount of adrenaline soaring through you is like, I don't know, it like takes you to another plane, and you can just start doing stuff that you can't do at home because you'd be a nutter. You can't do it in Sainsbury's while you're doing the weekly shop, or else people would just be like, they'd think you're on MDMA or something.
Different versions
you know
of
what I mean?
yourself.
Yeah, and you have this switch that you flick.
Helps if you are on MDMA.
The amount of times guests have said to me, "Oh, is your uncle?" Like if we're working together and they get wind and they go, "Oh, so you know him? Is your uncle?" Right? Is he on coke?
Mate, I get it. I get it as well, and I've never touched this stuff. I've never taken any drugs in my life.
No, why are you asking? It's just so like upbeat all the time.
Isn't it funny that people think you have to be on something to actually be like
that,
upbeat and fun and happy and energetic? It's like, no, you can be this way normally.
Mate, yeah, absolutely.
They're just not used to it,
mate. And to paraphrase
world.
Cyndi Lauper, people just want to have fun. They do, right? That's why people are at weddings. You want to have fun. I want to have fun, and I found the more fun I have, the more fun guests have. So. I
had a guy argue with me once, telling me that I am. I was like, I'm not. But he wouldn't take no for an answer.
I was at a wedding at a very lovely Cheshire.
Give me some. I know you've got it. I know you have. Give me some.
I was at a wedding venue, very nice one in Cheshire, and someone came up to me like, "Mate, have you got anything spare? You can.
Yeah.
I went,
can I have a bit of what you're on?
What playing card? What were you after? They went, "No, you got any fucking coke on you?" It's like, no, I've not got any.
I've got an extra strong mint.
Why do you think I've got coke on me? Well, you're clearly on it, aren't you? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not on it.
What made you think that?
Penny drop.
I'm not taking anything.
I'm not gonna. This isn't going in.
I definitely should go in.
It definitely should.
So so you have this switch that you flick, and like, so when I come off stage, when I leave a wedding breakfast or leave a drinks reception, or when I've just finished with the hosting and I've got a bit of time off. You know,
you can go in there and ask Sam, what am I like the day after a wedding?
Shattered, aren't you?
It
wipes you
bang,
out,
crash.
You know.
hits you like a brick wall,
Yeah.
and you do. I get home from weddings, and I will sit in front of the TV with a beer like that, because my mind is going 2,000 miles an hour, but my body's shattered, so I can't sleep. It's like almost like insomnia.
You've got no like conversation left sometimes, haven't you? You leave a wedding day, next morning I've got nothing to say. I was like, my brain's gone dead.
Managing those peaks and troughs is so important. Like, because I actually found out. Do you know, during COVID? Sorry, I can talk for England. This can be like a 3-hour episode. Maybe we'll start a Patreon and all of the extra golden nuggets you can put in there. But like, so when COVID hit, I went through a massive, and I'm not ashamed to admit any of this stuff. I'll talk candidly about anything in my life, really. I had a massive bout of, I'm not going to call it depression, but man, I was low, really low.
Because you're not getting your topped up every week.
I got in touch with a friend of mine who's a GP, and obviously on the phone, we're in bubbles, we're at home, stuck, and I went, look, these are my symptoms. I said, I'm getting twitches, my temperature is fluctuating, I'm getting cold sweats at night. I said, I'm waking up dripping in sweat. And I mean dripping. I mean, do you know when the bed's literally you've soaked to bed?
This was during COVID?
This was during COVID.
We had COVID.
Right. No, I'd done a test. I didn't have COVID, right? So I was like, look, I'm getting banging headaches. I was like, I can't concentrate. She went, you're basically describing the symptoms of withdrawal. It's like you're coming off drugs, like hard. And I was like, right. And she was like, and how can I fix that? And she went, well, you just replace it with the thing that you're missing. And I went, right, but I'm just not doing weddings and events and performing. And she went, well, it'll be the adrenaline. She said, you're on a huge come down from having a certain amount of adrenaline in your bloodstream pretty much constantly throughout your life. that you've become accustomed to over 20 years of performing. Yeah. And she goes, you remove that adrenaline, you're going to have your brain is going to have withdrawal symptoms. And all of a sudden I was like, holy God. She was like, the only way you can see through this is with injections of essentially epinephrine or, which I'm not going to prescribe you because that's stupid, or
you need to get back out
you
working.
sit it out. You can only sit it out. You've got no other option because I can't perform.
Yeah.
So I had to sit it out. And honest to God, I was like this. I had sweats, I had depression. And it was basically, that's what it was. It was withdrawal symptoms from performing.
How
mad is that?
One thing, before we wrap up, and we've got some closing questions we ask everyone. I just wanted to, because we spoke about this off air, I wanted to touch on kind of what, how you see this in 10, like shelf life, basically, is, are you going to be a magician forever? And how do you keep evolving and keep zapping when everyone's zipping? And because I feel like, and I might just be naive about it, but I think as a videographer, I know that I can sell myself to couples very easily because they're similar age to me, getting married, the early 30s, late 20s, whatever. And I'm on a level with them. When I'm 50 and I'm the video guy, it doesn't have the same. No offense. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I feel like when I get older, I'm not going to be the young cool video guy anymore. I'm going to be the guy with the old guy with the camera, which is a bit more inherently creepy. A little bit creepy. Yeah. Same and with I imagine it's the same with magic.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, when you're going up to young women in their 20s as a 60-year-old man going, "Would you like to see some magic?" Yeah, fuck off, Grandad. Yeah,
and you wouldn't do that. Do you ever think about it?
Yeah, of course. About 6-7 years ago, I started doing wedding hosting. That was one of my zaps, if you will. I thought, hang on, I'm a magician. I'm already meeting guests during the drinks reception. I've already building rapport with them. And then I'm handing them over to some guy in a red coat who's never met these guests before, that's never interacted with them. And I thought, that's why Toastmasters have such a hard time and why they're so abrupt, because they've got no rapport with guests. I've got all that. I can now walk into a room and immediately you've got their attention. Because, it's that funny guy from earlier. He was a good laughing.
And that's how it works when you do the drinks.
And that's why you mingle with drinks reception.
On the drinks.
Of course it is. Because
make them feel they know me before I even start my act. Then exactly. I think it makes it easier. As opposed to some artists will jump up the singing waiters.
Yeah.
Or we have to immediately like this guy.
Yeah, but singing waiters, similar thing. I think is a bit of maybe an anomaly in a sense that they have to be a surprise for obvious reasons.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's why that I think a lot of the time when singing waiters kick in, that's polite applause.
Yeah.
Because it's there's an act on. We've got to get involved and clap, rather than out of admiration or rapport or respect or just friendship, because you've built a relationship with the audience. So that was one thing when I zapped. That was how I kind of extended my shelf life, because I realised I wasn't that young 20-something when I met Howard doing all these flashy card tricks that no one else was doing. I wasn't the young guy you got at your wedding anymore. And then will I evolve again? Absolutely, because do the wedding hosting, have a lot of laugh. I'm not going to be able to run around like I do doing the hosting now. And when I get to like Howard's age, what are you, 65? How old are you?
I tell you what,
he's ageless. This man, he's ageless.
You're going to use that as the.
I think that's the key.
Blurb at the start.
The sting. Yeah.
When you talk, no matter what age you are, I think when you start talking, conversing with people, I think the age goes out the window.
Of course it does.
I can talk to somebody who's 70, they're full of life and passion and fun.
Yeah.
I don't care how old they are.
Yeah.
And I just think as long as you keep that vibe.
Yeah.
I run around now the same as I did when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't do is the stupid splits jump anymore.
Yeah. And I
but
think
apart from that, they're the same.
You pull your hammy. Yeah.
Done that one.
I think you've answered my question, just because going back to the tone and thing. You're very youthful, and I see you having the same rapport with the couples as I do, and I'm worried that I might lose that when I get older. But you're older, and you've still got it.
And I know people that inspire me are older.
It's about staying youthful and about keeping the tone light and just staying on the pulse and not kind of just getting old and conversing as an old person. You've got to stay.
And it happens to everyone, and it'll happen to you soon. You start realising that your couples are younger than you.
This is what's.
And that is a weird tipping point.
I've just got to the point where I'm now older than some of the couples.
Yeah,
and I always used to be younger.
Yeah, you're like, whoa.
Now I'm a bit older.
It happened
sometimes.
to me when I was about 32. I realised, and I was like, oh no. And I thought,
and it's only going to get worse.
You've got to evolve. You've got to change.
Yeah.
And so I've said to Claire, when I get into my 60s, 50s, I hope I'm still performing magic and still able to and alive and well. But I can't wait to play the doddery old man, and I'm going to sell it as that. You get me coming to your wedding, I pretend like I'm doddery old granddad that hasn't been booked, that just walks in
when he walks up.
Brilliant, exactly, man. That's where I'm getting it from. I love films. I'm going to walk up, I'm going to take the cards out, drop them.
If you did the Willy Wonka bit where you fall over and then spring up, that would be sick.
Kane stays in place.
I love it.
It's great, isn't it? But,
Can't beat Gene Wilder.
Gene
Is the
Wilder.
best.
It's amazing.
Great
It's
scene,
amazing.
Great
It's brilliant, isn't it? And it's that again. It's setting an expectation level and then blowing it out of the water. That's ultimately what that is, right? He comes out because everyone goes, "Oh, he's the old owner of a chocolate factory, so he must be old and doddery." So he comes out playing to those expectations, and then snap, does something different.
Well,
he zaps in that moment, and he does something that no one expected. That was absolutely bonkers, but ultimately
the host we had during the dinner and stuff.
Mate,
he's singing. He's got everybody singing. It's like
I don't sing during the hosting. I do something different. But the amount of times now when I leave a wedding, they go, "Oh man, the host did brilliant. We had so much fun," and they might not even mention the magic. It might have been brilliant, but they forgot about it now because you've done something else that was fun and interactive. Yeah. So again, it's always evolving, and like I say, I'm already looking at when I'm in my 50s, 60s, maybe 70s.
Well, listen, don't worry because you don't have to act any different.
Yeah,
what you do maybe now in 20 years' time.
Not.
You can still be the same.
But I think
don't just think because I'm older I have to be a certain way.
But I think if let's say you're in your 80s and you're more of a crooner now, right? Sat on a stool singing, you can play up to all those stereotypes. Come in. Oh, right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a song. Sit on a chair and then. You never close your eyes anymore.
Now I see why you just do the host and not sing.
Shut up.
Do you want to wrap up?
Wrap up?
Do it. Ask whatever you want. I'm not bothered.
So, Nola and Not, the last guests,
yeah.
Before you said, what would you say to your younger self to still get to where you are now, but quicker? How could you reach the point where you've got to now? So it's not that classic, what advice would you give to your younger self? It's how would you still follow the same path, just do it quicker?
Answer any way you like.
I think if I had to give myself advice to my younger self to get to where I am now quicker, it's a really hard question, that, because so much of the wedding industry is about experience, and there is no shortcut to experience. You have to graft. You have to just be there.
That's why I said answer it any way you want, because I would probably answer the same way.
Do you know what? There is one thing, actually, and I only started doing this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I wish I'd done it 10, 15 years ago, and that's go and shadow other wedding suppliers. I remember phoning Andy Murphy once on the way back
in different disciplines.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Just other magicians in your case.
No, fuck other magicians. Yeah. We're going to learn how to do a better double lift. Sorry, spoilers for anyone there. Or how to do this technical move. I'm probably not going to learn as much value or bring as much value to my couples if I'm just learning more about magic. I want to learn more about everything else. And so
the wedding day
I remember when I wanted to start doing hosting, I happened to be driving back. Wife was on holiday somewhere. And I thought, I've got nothing else to do this evening. And I happened to have spoken to Andy Murphy a few days prior, and I knew where he was going to be, gigging. So I phoned him and went, mate, can I come down and shadow you tonight? And he went, yeah, sure. I was like, I hope you was your gear, I hope you was set, packed down, whatever. And I just went. I went and spent the whole night there until we packed down, just seeing how you DJ a wedding. Even though I don't want to be a DJ, I don't want to stay until 2 a.m, don't know how they do it. But what I learned from that, and then I've second shot for David Stubbs at a wedding, and I learnt how the photography works. And I've had bridesmaids take clothes off in front of me, and you awkwardly look away and start taking photos of shoes, and stuff, but the stuff I learnt from that, and the dynamic of then, so now I know what stress and pressure a photographer and videographer are under at that point in the wedding day. So I know not to hassle them and say, oh, by the way, I've got a magic trick for you later that's going to be great. I know when not to mention that because I know they're under stress. I know when I work with Howard, I have to do the bride and groom thing really early because I don't want to upset his timings for the intros.
So you're getting a better perspective.
Yeah, and I suppose now you're doing the hosting,
so you can help the day as a whole.
I totally understand that now, and I totally, because I remember when Howard first said, come on Sam, we need to wrap this up, we need to get moving, and I was like, why has he been such a knob? But now I understand it, because ultimately Howard's got it in the air off the venue, because food has to come out at a certain time, so we have to work to that time normally, to the food. generally, if it's, I mean, most venues you would hope they've got a cold starter so that at least they've prepared that. But anyway, so there's always a knock-on effect to what you do, and there's always more you can learn about the industry from other people's perspectives that will bring absolutely unbelievable value to what you do. And so I wish I'd started doing that earlier.
I think that's a great thing.
I think that's a really good. Don't be afraid to ask people and shadow and stuff.
No, we're all lonely.
Yeah.
We all sit at home doing our emails on our own. Like, I say this to people all the time. We're all sat at home doing nothing. Phone up a videographer and say, hey, do you fancy a pint? Do you fancy going for a drink?
It's so funny because the social life of a wedding, people think, oh, you've got these parties all the time.
Oh, no, it's not.
I have no social life apart from my weddings and me and Sam have a date day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I love it like that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, if a supplier rang you up and went, just fancy just hanging out today, go for a coffee or something, it'd be like, oh yeah,
I
get me out of the office.
I had a videographer do it the other day, and I was like, brilliant. They phoned me. I was like, that's great, nice one. Yeah. Andy phoned me the other day. Do you fancy some drinks? I'm working, so I can't make it. But I was like, mate, unbelievable. I got a gig on a Tuesday night. And just, it's so important to stay connected to people outside of just at weddings. I'm sure other guests, and I know they have because I've listened to some of your podcasts, have spoke about networking and the importance of building friendships and relationships with other wedding suppliers, because it's a very small world, the wedding industry, yet it's quite disconnecting. You come together, you all have an amazing time, you make a great wedding, and then you all disappear. Yeah, and then you come back at another one, oh, great to see you again, and you disappear. And outside of those really high density, high stress environments, it's actually quite a lonely world, being in the wedding industry. And so actually staying connected to other wedding suppliers, whether you're playing football with them, like I know we've done five-a-side, whether you go clay pigeon shooting, or whether you're just having a drink in a bar,
go fishing
with Johnny tomorrow, and actually the other advice I would give, so it's a two-part answer, is go to more courses that have nothing to do with what you do. So I signed on to the very first, I think it was Philip White. Yeah, I went to Philip White. I went to Philip White's. I went to Philip White's videography course, and the whole room is full of videographers. And it came to me, and they went, "All right, so what do you do?" "Oh, I'm Sam. I'm a magician," and they all kind of went, "What
are you doing here?"
And at the time, I literally had one wedding film that I'd actually made for a couple, not because I'd sold it, but because a mate was performing. I said I'd come down and get some footage for him, and the deal was I'd edit something together for the couple as a thank you for letting us do that.
Yeah.
So my friend had a promo for his website, and that was what I showed, because we all had to go around and introduce ourselves and show a video we'd made. So I used that one, and all these videographers and photographers are looking at me like, "Why are you even here?" And I just went, "Well, do you see any other magicians in the room?" And they went,
"Networking."
Bingo. I'm meeting 20 high-end videographers that are willing to invest in themselves. They are the best people to be connected to. People that are gonna
striving, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. They're the people that want to be better. They want to invest in themselves. I did the same with David Stubbs' SEO course. I went on one of the first one of those. Saw he was doing it. 250 quid, not a problem. There you go, mate. It's all yours. I'll sit there. And David, literally all the way through, was like, "You do that, don't you, Sam?" Yeah. Sam's good with websites, because I knew it all. I knew what David was teaching. Not all of it, because he has got some really clever stuff going on. But I knew a lot of the content. But I wasn't there for that. I was there because it was a SEO course for photographers, and most of my recommendations come from photographers. And so getting to know more photographers was important for my business model.
It's worth the money, isn't it? Yeah, 100%.
Of course it is. I've had way more than 250 quid back out of that course. Of course I have.
Great.
Yeah, going to BPM with you. The DJ's one.
It's investing into yourself, but having a great time along the way as well.
Mate, absolutely.
None of it's boring, is it?
No.
None of it's monotonous or forced. It's actually interesting and good.
And I think those would be the two bits of advice, if you want to cut this down, is do more courses that have nothing to do with what you're doing, but have got the people in the room that you want to be speaking to, and go and shadow people. Learn how the industry works. Go and work at a wedding venue. Because it will absolutely get you work. Mitten Hall's a good example. I always turn up an hour and a half, hour early for weddings if I'm just doing magic. If I'm hosting, I'm there from probably 9 a.m. And this is going back maybe 10 years. I turned up at Mitten Hall and they were putting out tables. The ceremony was at church. And it was just literally two young ladies, and they were struggling with these big tables. And I said, "Oh, don't worry. I'd set up. I had everything in my pockets, good to go. I've got an hour to chill out and have a coffee." And they were struggling, so I said, "Hey, I'll help you move them." So carrying the tables, job done. Didn't think anything of it. Went and did the drinks reception. Said goodbye. Off I went. 2 or 3 days later, I get an email off Mitten Hall, manager at the time, who basically said, "Hi Sam, we want to add you to our recommended list." And I was like, "Oh, thanks very much." And at the time, Mitten Hall for me was like the creme de la creme of venues. And it still is an amazing wedding venue. Still get a lot of work there, and I love it. It's a great venue. And in the email, they went, "We had such great feedback off the couple and the guests, but also our staff, because you helped them move those tables, which you didn't have to do." And that was one of those moments in your career where you go, I am more than just a magician.
Going the extra mile,
It took me no effort. Literally not a single drop of sweat was shed. And it took no effort on my part to help out, other than having that can do, will make this work attitude, and being willing to just do anything necessary to make that wedding run better. And that is, brilliant. It just goes to show how that attitude of being in the room with people, getting there early, having that personality, to just, be willing to, make it work. It's someone's wedding day, for God's sake. They're not going to do it again. So make it fucking great. Why do you want to be good when you can be great, so all of that combined, and you're well on the way to having a business that has longevity. Not making necessarily, you're not going to make millions. I remember a friend, a mentor of mine one day saying, "You're going to do magic for a living, you're not going to be a millionaire." He worked at weddings and events, a guy called David Lancaster, who's now retired. You might remember David, you may well have worked with him.
Yeah.
And he said, "You're not going to become a millionaire." He said, "But if you do this right, you'll be in this game a long time." And that was great advice. And it's advice at the time, I was like, "Oh, I don't know, I could probably do maybe I could be a millionaire." But ultimately what he was trying to say was, it's
not about that.
If you want to be good at this, and you want a good career, and you want longevity, you want to pay a mortgage, you have to be in it for the long game. And longevity comes from applying things and doing things in a way that makes it sustainable, and being passionate and caring about actually your couples and their wedding at the end of the day. Yeah.
Sam, thank you very much.
There you go.
Loved it.
You need to give a question for our next person.
Please, can you give us a question to ask the next guest?
Do I know who the next person's going to be?
No.
Negative.
Right, okay, cool.
It's just a generic businessy sort of...
What was your annual turnover between 2016 and 20...
You have a second job working for the Inland Revenue.
Yeah. It's a 2-part question. And what was written on your return for your annual turnover? If you weren't working in weddings, what would you be doing? And what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Cool.
And how do those things differ? And how can you bring that to weddings?
So it's a 4-point question.
Yeah.
But it's fucking good though, isn't it?
Because we always ask that question, but we've cut it out on this one. Because it's been going on quite a long time. It's always, if you're not in the wedding industry, if you weren't a magician or whatever, if you're not a singer, what else would you be in the weddings? We normally ask it, but we'll use that on the next one.
Do you know what?
Perfect.
Robotic engineer I always wanted to work in robotics.
No, in the wedding industry.
Oh, in the wedding industry.
But we've done now. We've cut it out.
Wait. Sam Fitton, thank you very much. Pleasure having you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We're
gonna be chatting for about another 2 hours.
Was my phone wrong? Thanks, Sam. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Howard.
It was brilliant, mate. Thank you.
Honestly, loved it, mate.
Very fun, though,
brilliant.
wasn't it?
Now I'll cut. Now you can carry on waffling.
Oh, mate, I'm down for a pee.
So thanks so much for listening. We really hope that you found this episode insightful, inspirational, and if you did enjoy that, then please consider subscribing to us wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. We're Think Wedding Business.
We're also on YouTube and Instagram. So if you want to watch us, you can go over to YouTube and find us at Think Wedding Business. And the same over on Instagram to keep up with all of our future episodes.
We'd really love you to subscribe and join us on this journey. And if you do like this content, please consider giving us a 5-star review. It just helps us get seen and helps spread the word.
So thanks again for listening,
Wings
and we'll see you
out.
next time.
Bye-bye.